In fact, some of the people who have the sharpest tongue have the weakest mind. To really be strong is to be left standing when the storm is over. Crying, maybe, a windswept, hair all over your head, clothes tattered and torn, but still here.
God simply wears a mask sometimes so that you don't know it's him, and he's still asking you the question, who do you say that I am?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is that what we're talking about here?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
You know, we've said in the church so often that if we see people going through stuff, it's like, oh, they must be not doing something right. They must be, you know, something's wrong in their life. They, you know, they just can't. But
yeah, that's not true at all. Okay. I mean, Job was picked out because he was a righteous man.
Right.
You know, Christ, there was no gall found in his mouth. He went through the judicial system and was crucified. You have to realize, Paul craves, oh, that I may know him in the fellowship of his suffering. What a strange request to make. You know, I've never met anybody that I thought, oh, I want to suffer like you. You know, Paul says his prayer is, oh, that I may know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. You can't have a resurrection without a crucifixion. There must have been some knowledge. This guy speaks 5 different languages. He's traveled all over the world. He's trained at the feet of Gamaliel. He's very experienced. He is a spiritual father in Zion. He's responsible for most of the epistles in the New Testament. And the one thing he asks for is to know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. And really, they sound like contradictions, but the suffering and the power of his resurrection are the same thing, because you can't know him in the power of his resurrection if you haven't had crucifixion. There's something that comes out of surviving that gives us tenacity and fight, and it has nothing to do with your temperament or how you lash back at people. In fact, some of the people who have the sharpest tongue have the weakest mind. To really be strong is to be left standing when the storm is over. Crying, maybe, a windswept, hair all over your head, clothes tattered and torn, but still here. And I think that we need, especially in this hour, that God has allowed this tsunami of disease to attack the world and made everybody, rich and poor, from every tongue and country, go to their room in time out, proving that none of our technology supersedes his ability to control it. I'm not saying he sent COVID-19, but I'm saying nothing escapes him. He had to allow it, and yet we are still here. My goodness. And it begs the question, why are we still here? What does God have for us that he allowed us to survive the crushing to this point? What am I supposed to learn from this? Not run from it, not lie about it, not succumb to propaganda about it. And everybody keeps trying to save what's going to happen, and the disease seems to be running things. How you come in the store now is control. How you go shopping now is control. And we get down into, you know, these are my rights, but none of us want a right to die. We want to have rights, but I want to be alive, and I want to have the economy, but not at the expense of losing me. I just think, wait a minute, first things first, God so loved the world, he gave his life for people.